hours later.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's your casual gamer Meep here, and this video marks the 100 subscribers milestone for this YouTube channel. I've been wanting to do a Q&A lately for a while and answer your questions about me so you can better get to know me as a person and also a content creator. I've reached out to you, my viewers, supporters, and fellow content creators through Discord, Twitter, and YouTube for your questions, and I'll be going over each and every one of them, and at the very end, I'll be sharing more about myself and my perspective on things. Our first question, or rather questions, come from Deadstroke, who asks, how old are you? Where do you live? What's your favorite game? And what do you want to do in 2022? Thank you for your questions, Deathstroke. I am 25 years old as I make this video, and in case you're wondering when my birthday is, it is August 30th. Therefore, I am a Virgo. As for where I live on the east coast of the United States, specifically within the Sunshine State of Florida. My favorite games right now are a tie between both Dead by Daylight and City Skylines. For those of you who don't know, City Skylines is a sandbox-style city building game where you can be as creative, chaotic, or micro-detailed as you want as you create your own city. As for what I wanted to do in 2022, I want to reach the goal of 1,000 subscribers, as I've reached over 1,000 views on a single video alone, so I want to match that with subscribers. It would also be nice if I could get to upload 2 videos a week, but I'm often pressed by outside commitments in real life to do that consistently. So those are 2 of my goals as a content creator. Our next question comes from SamLGM, and they ask, what are your goals in life? I think of myself as one of those people who don't really know what they want to do in life, other than like the simple things of having both financial insecurity and both being happy at what I'm doing. I think those are probably the 2 things that in life I'm aiming for right now. As for how I achieve it though, that's another question for another time as we get later on in life. Next question comes from Jet, who asks, what got you into gaming? So I've been gaming ever since I was like 5 years old. My first video game console platform was the PlayStation 2 when it first came out. And my first video game with that PlayStation I got was Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights, which I still have, and surprisingly, it still works. I was actually stuck on one part of it for like over at least a year or 2 until I asked my friend how they got past it, and everything sort of clicked after that, so yeah. Other PS2 games I acquired over the years include the Toy Story 2 and Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase video games for the original PlayStation. And for the PS2, I would also get involved with the Ape Escape series, which I'm still waiting on the 4th incarnation of, Grand Theft Auto, and several of the SpongeBob games, including the movie game and the Revenge of Flying Dutchman, just to name a few. Sadly, I was one of those people who never got Battle for Bikini Bottom, and I do regret that, but I did get its rehydrated version and played through that, and I had a good time with it. Over the years though, I would also go on to own a Game Boy Advance SP, and later a Nintendo DS when it came out. And several years later, I think when I was like, I don't know, 2018, 2019 era, I got my first gaming laptop, which is what I played Dead by Daylight on for my first 2 years of the game. And last November, I got my gaming PC and the setup I currently use. Our next question comes from LPN, who asks, what or who introduced you to Dead by Daylight, and what made you keep playing it? I think at the time, whenever Dead by Daylight first came out, I was watching some of the original content creators for it, namely Omewrecker, H2O Delirious, and Bryce McQuaid. And just the amount of fun and scariness that they had with their gameplay was both interesting and it kind of wanted me to play the game. It wasn't until my real-life best friend, who goes by the name Okami, bought the game on his Steam account and let me play it at his place so I could actually start playing the game. My first game though, I was really terrified playing it. I remember missing skill checks, walking around and crouching everywhere, and I even attempted to escape off the hook, which only has a 4% chance, and I was so confused going into the struggle phase and then dying on my next hook, so it was a learning experience, needless to say, but I had fun with it overall. He would then go on to let me share his Steam library, and so I got to own the game before I actually bought it for myself about a year later. The very first game I played also, I didn't realize I had to keep spamming the spacebar when I went into struggle, and so I died as soon as I went into struggle, needless to say. I was new to the horror genre, and having not played any horror games growing up, I also just hadn't watched any classic horror films, and so Rivers asks, what DBD streamer inspired you the most, and why is it Rivers Live? For those of you who don't know, I used to stream on Twitch. My first stream was December 21st of 2020. Rivers, you did have a large impact on me wanting to create Dead by Daylight content. Seeing you play the game however you want and just interacting with both me and everyone in chat always made streaming an appealing choice to do. You were one of the first content creators I actually followed through Dead by Daylight on Twitch, so props to you, man. I found you first. I've learned a lot from you, and I appreciate you continuing to create content and also your friendship as well, man. The next question comes from Verconn, and they ask, why did you move from Twitch to YouTube, and why are you so cute me? If I'm like, aw. Good question, Verconn. Appreciate it. I started streaming on Twitch between December 2020 and I think up until March 2021. And I started uploading to YouTube on Valentine's Day of 2021 of this year. I ultimately decided to switch platforms because, one being my living arrangement, and that goes into my second one, of being control. I can control to a larger extent the quality of the videos I put out on YouTube. And number three is because with Twitch streams, they're sort of a one and done kind of deal, and once that stream is over, almost no one ever goes back to rewatch it. Whereas with YouTube, it's up forever, so people can see it when and wherever they want to view it as they want to. And that goes into the last reason, and that YouTube has a greater potential to reach more people, whereas Twitch is kind of oversaturated with a lot of Dead by Daylight content creators. Not saying YouTube isn't, but people who watch my videos will be able to hear my voice in the Dead by Daylight community, which is the primary reason I started creating content. As for why I'm so cute though, I'm just lucky, I guess. Genetics played a big role, so I have to thank my parents for that. There is one photo of me in my Discord selfie section if you scroll up at this point in time, and for those of you who I've known for a long time, such as Verconn, they know what I look like, so if you want to see what I look like, hop into my Discord server. I'll be including the link down below in the comment section. Or the description, my bad. Our next question comes from ToeFarLove, who asks, who do you main as killer? So this is kind of like a long series of questions, or a long series of explanations, I guess you could say. You see, when I first started playing Dead by Daylight, my very first killer main was the Wraith, as he came with the base game, and I liked the idea of being both invisible and stealthy. Once I started purchasing DLCs, however, I started gravitating towards the licensed killers, especially like Michael Myers, for instance, as he's the strong silent guy who stalks from afar, but I also enjoyed playing as Freddy. And no, I don't mean pallet or snare Freddy, I mean old Freddy, back when his power was pull you into the dream world manually, before microsleep even existed. Back then, the survivors who were in the dream world would suffer a 50% action debuff to everything they did, and Freddy could see their auras whenever they were outside his terror radius. I was an old Freddy main because he had so much in his base kit. He had stealth because awake survivors didn't see him at all, and he also had built-in slowdown on tracking for all survivors in the dream world. In 2021, however, I've started leaning towards the Spirit, Legion, and Bubba as my mains, as I think in my Eyes in the Shrine series I show them off a lot more than any other killers. I'm always shuffling between killers to show off variety in terms of content creating. And you may be wondering, like, who are my favorite killers? Like, these are the killers I enjoy playing as. These are the killers I'm neutral towards, meaning I don't either love them nor dislike them. And these are the killers I just don't like playing, just because. And from a survivor's aspect, these are the killers I like going against. These are the killers I'm neutral towards, but I'm interested to see how they play. And these are the killers I don't like playing against for various reasons. Some of the other things I guess I want to share with this video also include like my editing software, for instance. I currently use DaVinci Resolve 16, which is free to use, and I record my videos in 30 FPS at this point in time. As for do I regret putting any of my content out on YouTube, that is? Not really, since I started learning how to edit from the very beginning, since my first upload. You can find those videos actually in my first 50 videos playlist on my channel. I think I'll include the description down below or either up in the video, I'm not sure. Again, still learning how to do this stuff. Out of all the content that I've created thus far, my absolute favorite video has been my Quentin by Daylight video. That was a video that I wanted to show off as Quentin and most of the other survivors that were getting character model updates, but with Quentin we would lose our favorite goblin boy forever, and so I wanted to dedicate that video personally to him. As for my current thoughts on Dead by Daylight as a game, there's a lot to go over, to be honest. I guess the first area to start is, I guess you could say, the grind. The grind is astronomically huge. Just to get one character to level 50 alone, in like a mostly cost-effective way, it takes approximately 1.8 million blood points. It's almost embarrassing to see newer players discover how much they'd have to play just to unlock all the teachables, and then spend even more points upon that on the survivor, or multiple survivors they want to actually get all the perks on. I'm familiar with Dead by Daylight history and how the first blood webs used to be, and they used to be much more expensive. For those of you who don't know, the blood web system used to spawn every possible node, each level up until level 30, after which an additional node would spawn until all 30 available nodes were taken up by the blood web. Right now, currently in the game, The cost of a node that's found on the blood web is tied to its rarity. So for brown common add-ons or perks or offerings, there are 3,000 blood points, and they scale upwards 1,000 up until ultra rare, which is 7,000 points. Back then, the cost of each node was tied to its specific location on the blood web. The inner 6 nodes at the center of the blood web would always cost 3,000 points no matter what rarity they were. The middle section of the blood web would always have 12 nodes after level 30, and each of them would cost 5,000 points. And the outer rim with 12 additional nodes would also cost 8,000 per node, that is, no matter the rarity. For players who prestiged their character at this point in time before the blood web system was changed, they were awarded the legacy cosmetics for the grind. This was back when there was only 6 survivors, including Dwight, Meg, Claudette, Jake, Nia, and the newly released Laurie Strode, who was unable to earn her legacy. And there was also only 5 killers at this time, including Trapper, Wraith, Billy the Nurse, and Michael Myers, who was also unable to earn legacy. At that point in the game, there was only like maybe 30 perks for both sides each. Now survivors have almost 90 perks, and killers are now approaching that same number with each and every released chapter. So overall, I think there needs to be a change to the system on how we grind. It's just too much for brand new players, and even for more experienced players like myself who want to prestige their characters. A lot of people say that a fix to this is to simply get rid of perk tiers, but I doubt they'll ever do that. My simple and probably easiest to implement change to the system is simply to adjust the numbers. Decrease the cost of all rarities by 2,000 points. This means that brown common add-ons and offerings would only cost 1,000 points, and would scale to upwards to ultra rare add-ons, offerings, and items costing only 5,000 points. I think this is a more realistic fix to the system. Is it a perfect solution? No, not by any means, but this would drastically reduce the cost of blood webs and make games where you don't earn as many blood points feel more fair, like you didn't waste your time playing that game just because you didn't earn that many blood points in it. I also think this would greatly help newer players and players with more experience by simply giving them more purchasing power in games. For the survivors who either finished the generators all too quickly, and so the killer doesn't necessarily feel like they wasted their time, or feel frustrated, I guess you could say, or where the killer tunneled you off hook and killed you early on in the game, for instance. So those are my thoughts on the grind and the new player experience, sort of mashed together in a sense. I guess you could say my next biggest gripe was the decrease in the quality and quantity of events throughout the years. My first full year of playing Dead by Daylight was in 2018, and I consider that the best year for events in the game. I still remember the Scorching Summer Barbecue event in 2018. The generators looked like slushy machines even though they were called frozen cocktail machines, and there was also grill hooks for killers. Whenever you played the event offering at the time, you could earn up to 4.5 thousand blood points per generator that you completed, and a massive 5.5 thousand blood points per event hook whenever you hooked a survivor on it. This was back when there was a default 2 special generations hooks that would spawn no matter what into the trial. Also, if you didn't play the respective event offering, you would not gain any bonus blood points whatsoever. If everyone played the offering, however, all 7 generators would become special objectives, and 7 of the map's hooks would also become special objectives as well. The anniversary event did not feature these special objectives. Instead, they gave us the cake offerings, such as the sacrificial cake for the 5th year anniversary. The last event that featured special objectives was the Gilded Stampede, which celebrated the Lunar New Year. Several things that have changed since the Scorching Summer Barbecue event, and other ones since. The first thing is the event offerings. If you bring the event offerings, you still earn the bonus blood points, but if you don't, whenever you do a special objective or someone else does, you still get points, albeit less. That goes into the second difference, and that is that they've decreased the total amount of blood points per special objective. For survivors, when you repair a lunar generator, for instance, back then, you would only get 3,000 points per objective, and that's if you brought the offering. And if you didn't bring the offering, you could get an additional 1,000 extra blood points for absolutely no reason. As killer, on the other hand, you would only get 2,000 points per hook, and that's if you brought the event offering. And if you didn't bring the event offering, you would only get 750 points per hook, without the offering, that is. Also, instead of tying the number of special objectives that spawn into the trial to the amount of offerings that were played, they've made it sort of universal by the amount of objectives you can complete. Overall, they've lowered the amount of points we've gotten in events, and so this is what also happened in last year's Halloween event, which I think a lot of people took notice of. And so, yeah, that's probably my biggest complaints with events thus far. The anniversary event sort of recovered it, and added some new flair, I guess you could say, to events, such as they've refreshed the shrine secrets on a daily basis, which was really cool and the first time they've done that since. I also want to point out that 2018 was the last time we had a Winter Solstice event, an actual event where something very unique happened in Dead by Daylight. Hooks, generators, lockers, and even fire barrels in each trial would have decorated Christmas-colored lights on them, which made it feel like winter in a different time of the year for the game. Also, each blood up would spawn with tons of special unique winter gifts, which are like mystery boxes, but were half the price of the rarity of the content that they contained. So if you have a winter gift that was an ultra rare, instead of costing 7,000, it will only cost 3,500, and that would scale downwards. This was also the last time you could obtain the Winter Party Starters Firecracker variant. So if you have those items, you have them, and if you don't, unfortunately, you're kind of out of luck unless they bring them back somehow, which they haven't done for the last 2 years or so, so yeah. I guess you could say, I just want them to increase the amount of blood points you can earn during an event, and I also want them to bring back the Winter Solstice again. That's all I really want. So those are probably the two biggest gripes that I have, I guess you could say, with the game. Other things that I could talk about include the amount of filler perks, offerings, and add-ons both sides. But with patch 5.3.0 coming out, a lot of the add-ons are being changed or updated, and some perks are receiving love as well, so at least there's progress in the direction of addressing those points of interest, I guess you could say. And hopefully they'll continue to keep doing that going forward in time. Perhaps you want me to talk about the skill-based matchmaking system. Well, I'm not like other content creators who play for hours and hours time each day, such as on Twitch or other YouTubers. There are some days of the week when I'm not working, I'll play for a few hours with Survive with friends, that is, if I have the time, that is. Otherwise, I play to do challenges, dailies, and then some when I do YouTube-related stuff, including my Eyes on the Shrine series, which is a weekly series. Otherwise, I haven't really noticed a difference in players' behavior, I guess you could say. I would also like to say that I'm aware of the increased prevalence of hackers at what is considered high MMR, although I have yet to face a hacker personally since the launch of that system. Does that mean I'm not a high MMR? Who knows? Nobody does, since you can't see your MMR score. If there's something Dead by Daylight related that I didn't touch upon in this video and you want to ask me, such as something on a specific topic, leave a comment down below in the comment section and I'll be sure to answer it. Before the video finishes, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported me and the channel, whether you're a longtime friend or a new subscriber. I appreciate you and your involvement in the community that I want to create. I'm kind of introverted at times, so it's kind of hard for me to articulate what I want to say at times, and I don't necessarily want to annoy anyone. That includes my postings online. But down below in the description, I'll have the links to my Discord server and my Twitter page if you want to join me in my channel's journey. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and to everyone who sent in their questions, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.